Since you all seems to love my last video, and everyone seems to really respect my opinions on movies, I thought, why not watch some more? Only this time, instead of watching super popular, critically acclaimed movies, I'm going to go out of my way to watch the worst movies I can possibly find. And what better place to do that than Tubi? Tubi, I hardly know he. For those of you who have never gotten the privilege to use this glorious streaming service, it's one of the many free streaming services out there. It's basically the digital equivalent of the clearance Walmart DVD bins. You'll either find an absolute gem or it'll be the worst piece of cinema you have ever seen. And if you're lucky, it'll somehow be both at the same time. And that's exactly what I'm setting out to find in this video. So sit back, grab your popcorn, and get ready to dive into the deepest depths of Tubi. We're gonna trek through the treacherous trenches of Tubi. I love alliteration, if you couldn't tell.
So as I was scavenging through the filthiest caverns of Tubi,
I was literally scrolling to the very bottom of whatever category I could find. One movie in particular stood out to me, mainly due to its title. It's called Love Beat the Hell Out of Me. My immediate thought was, what's this movie about? My ex-wife? Melissa, please. I actually thought this movie was a lot older than it was. It actually came out in 2023. But if you thought the title was dramatic, this is the description. Abused, betrayed, and mistreated, Renee arrives at a crossroads that forces her to choose between living in fear or fighting for her life. Before the plot even kicks off, this movie starts off by telling us that everything here is based off true events, which I'm 99% sure is a lie. I'm going to choose to believe that that's true just because it makes everything infinitely funnier. Trust me, you will see. So at the beginning, we're greeted with this wonderful opening credits fresh off of iMovie's stock template library. I love how the smoke effect they use for the backdrop is only a few seconds long. So instead of just extending the video somehow or finding a longer clip, they just looped that same backdrop over and over. But we get this amazing title card with an absolutely beautiful text animation. This really sets the tone for the whole movie. This movie also has its own original theme song, I guess.
So much pain.
First off, that flute in the background is just terrible, but the lyrics are so hilariously on the nose. They basically just describe 90% of what happens in the movie, word for word, before the plot even starts.
He went berserk through church and violence. Then lost his damn job to a side chick trying to hide. Love beat the hell out of me. She yelling, but yelling ain't really helping. She swelling and feeling helpless. Run, he got a gun.
Beat the hell out of me. She yelling, but yelling ain't really helping. Swelling and feeling helpless. Run, he got a gun. Do you know how most movies start off by introducing you to the main characters and stuff? Not this movie. This movie starts off with just straight up cheeks. No names, no introductions. Just straight up butt on bed. And I'm not exaggerating either. Quite literally, the very first shot in this movie is a butt on a bed.
Run, he got a gun.
The butt in question belongs to our main character, Renee Jenkins, and her husband, Antonio Jenkins, comes into the room, locks on to the target, and they both just start going at it. Keep in mind, this is all within the first 30 seconds of the movie. So yeah, great movie to watch with your parents. You'll just have to keep your thumb hovering over the fast forward button the whole time because this type of thing happens a lot more times.
So much pain.
The audio quality in this movie is not the best. A lot of the dialogue is extremely hard to hear and it sounds like it was recorded 3 rooms over. So captions are definitely mandatory for this one. Anyways, that vague building that we saw before is actually the outside of a law firm that Antonio, the guy who was clapping cheeks before, works at. And let's just say that the law isn't the only thing getting firm inside those walls. I'm so sorry. If you didn't pick up on it earlier, Antonio is an absolute freak.
Can I have one of your mints?
Sure.
Damn. Damn.
How long does it take to get mints?
Here you are, Miss.
Anyways, then we meet Antonio's new coworker, Rhonda Gibson. So the boss lady introduces Miss Gibson to Antonio because he is going to be training her. And then Antonio introduces himself like he's James Bond for some reason.
Pleasure's all mine, Mr.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jenkins. Antonio Jenkins.
The name's Jenkins. Antonio Jenkins. And somehow Miss Gibson eats that up. She is absolutely enthralled by that.
So, Miss Gibson, would you follow me, please?
The sexual tension in this scene is off the charts.
Okay.
This movie treats Antonio like he's Denzel Washington. Meanwhile, he's just like someone's grandpa. Every woman he meets in this somehow instantly falls in love with him, even though he's like blatantly sexually harassing anything that moves.
Damn.
He's essentially Bill Cosby, but every woman acts like they got hit with a military grade pheromone grenade anytime he enters a room. And then this woman gets a call from Candy Crush.
Excuse me one moment. Brenda Chambers.
This is where I really started to notice how bad the editing is. It's like somebody took a pair of scissors to the footage and just started slapping stuff together with Elmer's glue.
Stop.
Morning, gentlemen.
Stop.
Hey, stop. Sit down. Morning.
The next scene is Renee dropping off her and Antonio's son at school.
Let me have to take off your jacket.
I don't want to take off my jacket.
Well, at least put it in a locker.
How is he gonna put his jacket in his locker if he doesn't take it off?
Here, have a bite of this hot dog.
I don't want a hot dog.
Well, at least put it in your stomach.
Keep this kid in mind for later. Seriously. Remember his face, because he is a very important character that we will never see again.
Love you. Bye.
So as Renee is dropping him off, Christopher's substitute teacher comes up and introduces himself to her.
Are you a parent here at the school? Because I haven't seen you around before.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. How is that an answer to that question? I haven't seen you around before. Are you a parent of someone at the school here? Yes and no. I keep trying to take this one kid home, but he freaks out and is like, "Oh, you're not my dad. Get away from me." And then the cops show up. It's super annoying. You get another really uncomfortable scene of two people flirting.
It's a pleasure to meet you.
No, the pleasure is certainly all mine.
Then we transition to the music studio, Mobbed Up Records. And we get our first look at Capone, who is a great rapper.
Yeah, this about life. This is life gonna start. This is
So then Antonio randomly appears in the studio and all the guys kind of banter for a few minutes. Capone calls Antonio whipped, just like as a little aside, a little joke.
Hey man, Renee got this clown wrapped around her finger.
And Antonio takes this very seriously. This awakens something dark inside Antonio's soul. Right as Antonio is about to leave, not sure why he even came by the way, he showed up and then talked for like 30 seconds and then was like,
Man, I gotta bounce.
"Why were you there? Are you a producer? Do you own the studio?" The movie never explains. But right as he's about to leave, two R&B singer girls show up to the studio, and I'm sure you can already tell what happens next. Antonio suddenly decides that he has to stay now, and of course they start getting all hot and bothered by this man, even though they're like half his age.
Who's that sexy chocolate man standing right over there? Oh, girl, he is cute.
So Antonio starts flirting with one of the girls, and then Capone is like, "Nah, man, he's gotta go. He's got a wife at home. He can't be doing this." But remember how I said Capone awakened a darkness inside Antonio? Well, that darkness has a name. And that name is T-Slick.
I'm T-Slick, man. How you doing?
Yeah, he introduces himself to the girls as T-Slick.
Nice to meet you, T-Slick.
This is not a name that's given to him, by the way. He just assigns it to himself. The name Slick. T-Slick. T-Slick Jenkins. T. Antonio Slick Jenkins. But you can just call me Slick. T. Slick. So Capone clowns on Antonio for the goofy ad nickname, justifiably.
No, he didn't call himself T-Slick. For real?
And Antonio says something that's actually kind of terrifying, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, say my name 3 times, motherfucker, and watch for that.
What's gonna happen if I say your name 3 times? Are you like Bloody Mary? I just said your name like 50 times or he's gonna show up in my room like out of nowhere.
I'm T-Slick, man.
So now that we have a better understanding of T-Slick, Antonio, let's get to know Renee a little bit better. So Renee works at this hair salon with a few of her other friends. There's not much that happens in this scene. It goes on for way too long. It feels like an hour straight of just small talk that serves no purpose to the story whatsoever. Renee is supposed to be doing this girl's hair that's sitting in front of her for the whole scene. But if you look closely, she's not actually doing the girl's hair. She's just kind of like brushing her fingers through it and just vaguely touching it for 5 minutes straight. And then this girl makes whatever this noise is.
I wasn't talking about
And then one of the girls tells Renee that she has a demon child.
Especially with that badass demon child you and Antonio got.
I like to imagine that this isn't a joke and Christopher is just a literal demonic entity. I mean, it would make sense given who his father is.
Let me have to take off your jacket.
So the only semi-important thing that comes up during this 5-minute conversation is the run-in that Renee had with the substitute teacher. Renee decides to tell them what happened. So right as she's starting to tell the story, her friend Pam, who is screaming or having a panic attack at all times, by the way.
Shoot, I'm hungry.
Girl, I hope you ain't asked about Rico all day. Come get him.
She's like, don't tell the story yet. Let me go live on Snapchat. For some reason.
Oh, wait.
What happened, Renee?
Let me go live.
Girl, you about to Snapchat
I don't even know if you can go live on Snapchat, but regardless, in this universe, I guess you can, but apparently it's a war crime.
Pam, don't go laugh.
Also not important, but as Renee is kind of beating around the bush with the story, this other girl sitting beside her says, come on with the beans.
Come on with the beans.
I'm going to say that next time I'm in line at Chipotle or Moe's or something. Oh yeah, come on with the beans now. Oh yeah, come on with them beans. Renee finally tells them the story about the substitute teacher, and they're all like, well, was he fine? And then Renee's like, yeah, he was kind of fine. And then they're all like, whoa, my God.
I can't even believe that she admitted it out openly in front of everybody that the man was fine. That took a miracle right there. Hallelujah.
So even though Antonio has shown a lot more red flags in terms of potentially cheating, Renee is not completely in the clear here. She is showing some interest in other people. So then we see Antonio and Renee back at the house sitting together after they get home from work. And Antonio decides to tell Renee about the girl that he's training at work. And Renee kind of gets upset about this, justifiably. And then they kiss, and the chemistry is absolutely off the charts.
Boy, shut up and give me a kiss.
Later on, Renee is at a restaurant with some of her friends, and for some reason they are dancing for 90% of this entire scene.
Okay.
And then Renee's bald friend hits on the waiter, who is a literal child.
You can go home with me, boo.
And of course, they all think that that's hilarious. And then Renee starts telling them about the substitute teacher and says that she ran into him at the grocery store the other day and got his social media. So she starts showing them his Facebook and everything. This is another scene that's edited together very awkwardly.
I mean, they're like, it's a business.
It abruptly cuts right in the middle of them talking multiple times. It's just really hard to understand anything that they're trying to cut back to Antonio's work. Mrs. Gibson calls up Antonio and is like, can you come by my office and help me with a few things? And then the boss lady comes in asking the secretary where Antonio is because apparently he won this big award. Then back at Miss Gibson's office, she's doing the whole movie thing to Antonio where she's like,
see, I have this friend, we're just talking. She just started this new job. She's taking a liking to one of your employees.
well, you see, I have this friend. Actually, she's not even really a friend. She's actually my cousin's chiropractor's dog's grandma. But she's looking for some advice on how she can sexually assault one of her coworkers.
Yeah, Antonio, you are that guy.
She starts aggressively hitting on him, and it's gotta be the most uncomfortable scene in the entire movie.
You make me feel wanted here.
Glad I could help.
Yeah, they start getting all hot and nasty, fully clothed, by the way. I'm a little confused by the logistics of that. And then Boss Lady comes barging through the door, and of course you can imagine she is not very happy.
Are you freaking kidding me?
So obviously they both get fired, which Antonio is super nonchalant about.
It's 10.
And Miss Gibson doesn't really seem to care either. Actually, it kind of feels like she wanted this to happen. It's like this was her plan all along. She starts laughing like a Disney villain. So the next scene, we see Capone walking over to Renee's house, and the music choice here, again, is very weird. In this next scene, we'll find out that Capone is actually Renee's brother. The lyrics of the song are, trying to see what's up with your lady, trying to see what's up with your baby. It's weirdly sexual, so as I was watching, I was thinking Capone was going to come over to the house, and then Renee was going to cheat on Antonio with him. But then I find out that they're siblings, so it's a very weird song choice. And you can tell that Renee and Capone are siblings because Renee says this.
Here you go, bro.
But the reason why Capone came over is because he wants to tell Renee about what happened at the studio with Antonio and the R&B girls. But of course, he does the whole movie thing where he just never gets to the point.
Something I gotta tell you.
Tell me what?
Get to the point, brother.
Your husband ain't the man you think he is.
I know, bro. He's amazing. Bro, he said he was gonna give me a new upgrade and all that.
I'm not sure what getting a new upgrade entails. Plot twist, Renee is actually a robot.
Upgrades, people, upgrades.
That actually wouldn't be too crazy considering what actually happens later on. Stay tuned, okay? I promise, it gets absolutely insane. But Capone keeps beating everywhere but the bush until Antonio shows up and cuts him off. As soon as Antonio shows up, Capone's like, I gotta get out of here. Later on, we see Antonio sitting in his car late at night. The R&B girl calls him up and she refers to him as Chocolate.
What's up, Chocolate?
How many names does this man have at this point? The name's Chocolate. Antonio Chocolate. T. Antonio Chocolate Slick. I'm sorry, I'll stop. They're talking on the phone together and she's all like, we should go to the studio together sometime so we can make some music. And you already know what type of timing Antonio is on. He is all about that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Then it cuts to Antonio and her in the studio making some music. Antonio's hitting some keys on the keyboard or piano, except we can't hear anything that he's playing because they just dubbed over other music on top of it. And it's not even piano music. It's this acoustic guitar with drums. Hard would it have been to just find some royalty-free piano music? Technically, he's playing on an electric keyboard, so maybe he has an acoustic guitar sound effect downloaded, but it doesn't even match like the rhythm of how he's hitting the keys at all. And then the girl is sitting beside him singing, except she's not really singing. She's just like, woo, 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 do, 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 do. And then T-Slick listens to all of this and is like, yeah, I think we got a hit on our hands.
I think we got us a hit with this one. I really do.
Yeah, Johnny, remember that sound you've been looking for? Yeah, I think this is it. Woo, 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 and I think you can guess what happens next. She puts his underwear in his face, and there's a lot of unnecessarily long shots of them kissing. I don't even know if I can show any of this, to be honest. This is where the drama really starts to pick up. So Renee decides to go over to the law firm to say what's good to Antonio. But then Boss Lady pulls her into her office and sits her down and is like,
Antonio no longer works here. I'm sorry. I thought I heard you say that my husband no longer works here. I did say that, Renee. Antonio hasn't been an employee here for over 2 weeks.
I'm sorry. I thought I just heard you say... I did say that, Renee. Antonio hasn't been an employee here for over 2 weeks.
I did say that, Renee.
Boss Lady breaks the news that Antonio was fired due to his booty clapping shenanigans, and then Renee crashes out and leaves. Also, the secretary was listening at the door the whole time, so when Renee storms out, I guess she gets all startled and doesn't know what to do, so she starts pretending like she was touching the picture frame, I guess. This is where the drama starts getting really juicy. So Renee confronts Antonio about this at home, and he gets caught in a lie. This is where we discover Antonio's very subtle tell. See if you can spot it.
Man, you've been leaving at this house every day at the same time for 2 weeks. Acting like you was going to work and you wasn't. I was. I've been going to work every day.
Yeah, his voice goes up about 13 octaves whenever he lies. He goes from deep voice old man to Mickey Mouse in an instant. And Renee obviously gets really upset and starts yelling. And this is where shit really starts going off the rails. I'm serious when I say this. My jaw was on the floor. Everything before this is so boring and slowly paced. And then all of a sudden this happens.
Who the f*** you think you talking? I tell you to calm your ass down. You gonna leave who?
Antonio slaps Renee across the face out of nowhere and starts strangling her, threatening to kill her if she ever leaves him.
I will kill your ass.
The music choice also makes zero sense here. It's this weird electric guitar in the background. But don't worry, Renee cleverly escapes by kicking him in the balls and then his left butt cheek, and then books it for the door. She gets outside and starts running for the hills, and instead of going to any of the neighbors that they have all around them or, going to the police, she decides to try to escape in the woods, because everyone knows when a man with a gun is chasing you, the best place to go is where there's 0 witnesses and plenty of tripping hazards.
Run, you got a gun.
Quick heads up, from this point, I'm going to be referring to Antonio as T, just because it's a lot quicker, and at this point, Antonio is no more. He has gone full slick. T-Slick. Some say this is actually the exact moment where Antonio becomes Heisenberg. The music here actually starts to fit what's happening a little bit better. It's actually some intense music. But there's also this weird cartoony slide whistle sound effect. And then Renee trips and we get this awesome slow-mo shot of her falling that was recorded in 10 frames per second. Right as she starts to get up, T pistol slaps her across the face, knocking her out. Then she wakes back up in her kitchen and T has a gun to her head.
If I can't have your ass, nobody will. Now get your sorry ass up and fix me something to eat.
If I can't have you, nobody can. Now go make me that meatloaf that I like. And then he turns around and starts snorting coke off the counter, so he's a druggie and a cheater and an abuser. This dude sucks. So Renee is in the kitchen cooking, I guess, whatever Antonio was forcing her to make her. She's acting very calm and showing no signs of distress until Capone shows up at the door again, came by to finish telling her what he was going to tell her the other day about Antonio, but then he sees the blood on her face and is obviously upset. For some reason, Renee is super nonchalant about everything that just happened.
We're not together no more. At least because he left.
Why would he leave? He's wearing the exact same clothes as before, so I'm assuming that no time has passed. So why would T leave the house? Why would he be like, I'm gonna kill you if you try to leave me, you hear me? Alright, I'm gonna go down to the gas station. You want something? I'll be right back. Why would he not assume that she was gonna instantly try to escape? But I guess he was right to expect that because she's just chilling in the house like nothing happened. Obviously Capone is super upset, so he pulls out the blicky and is like, I'm gonna kill that fool for what he did. Sorry, that's gotta be racist. I didn't mean to make it sound like that. So he pulls out the firearm and is like, I'm going to end that guy's life because of what he did to you. And then Renee just kind of stares off into the distance blankly and it does this very out of left field zoom in transition. I'm not really sure what the purpose of it is. I do have a theory on it later, so stay tuned. So Capone tracks down T Slick and it's snowing for some reason now. But he pulls up on him and shoots him like 37 times in the chest. Again, what the actual flip is up with the music? But as T Slick is dying, 30 bullet wounds in his chest, by the way. I want to put some emphasis on that because it's important. As he's dying, he licks his lips. I guess, you know, it's kind of cold out. He's a little chapped, I guess. Even on his deathbed, Mr. Antonio Chocolate T Slick Jenkins is on freaky mode. Then it immediately cuts to a funeral. The same electric guitar from earlier is playing in the background. Not sure what that's about. How are you going to use the same exact song for an intense domestic violence scene?
I will kill your ass. Talk about leaving.
And a funeral scene. Capone is walking Renee down the aisle at the church like it's a wedding, and she is dramatically crying, and he looks like he could not care less, to be honest. Also, he's wearing the exact same outfit that he just slimed out T in 30 seconds ago. So I'm assuming this is just the exact same day. So he killed him, immediately plopped him into a casket, drug him into a church, and then had a funeral right there. There's also nobody else there at the funeral besides this one random unnamed guy standing by the casket. He does try to comfort Renee a little bit.
It's time. I don't want to let him go. I know.
But you always have it.
The memories. Ah, good times.
Here's to the ones that we got. Cheers to the wish you were here, but you're not.
Man, this scene could really use some music. There we go. Now that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
And then it does that really weird zoom transition again. Take note of that, okay? So Renee decides to go see Antonio's mother. Mommy Slick notices the poorly done VFX makeup on Renee's cheek.
You know, oh my Lord.
And is like, oh shit, the ghost of Chester is back to haunt us. And you're probably like, who the heck is Chester?
Chester is Antonio's father.
So Meemaw Jenkins yaps for about 5 straight minutes about her former husband, Chester, and how he became an abusive cheater, drug addict.
They found Chester and Lucky in the back of a pickup truck, naked and shot to death.
At this point, my theory is that the entire Jenkins bloodline is cursed, and that would explain why Christopher is a literal demon. Speaking of Christopher, where is he? And why is Renee not worried about him? He wasn't even at the funeral. I guess Renee just didn't want to bring him because she was scared he was probably gonna like possess his father's corpse or something. That would be crazy, right? If that happens. That's not gonna happen. This is where the movie starts to get really confusing, so just bear with me. Renee tells Mama Jenkins, I don't know what to do. I don't have anywhere to go, and I'm scared that Antonio is gonna find me. Yo, what's good? What do you mean? I thought Antonio died.
Shot to death.
I guess this is just a flashback to before he died. That's what I would naturally assume. Anyways, Renee decides that she wants to go stay with the substitute teacher dude. After this, we presumably get another flashback to before Antonio died. T-Slick runs up on the R&B girl in the street. And is like, why haven't you been returning my calls, baby girl? She's all like, hell no, you need rehab, dude. We're done. Then she pulls a gun on him, which is pretty badass. T-Slick is finally getting a taste of his own chocolate. And then T walks up to this random girl in an alleyway. She's all like, what do you want, man?
What do you want, man?
This is apparently T's drug dealer. I guess the whole point of this 3-minute flashback scene was to show where T-Slick was getting his drugs from. I don't know, dude. Don't look at me. I didn't make this movie. Then we get this absolutely amazing training montage of Renee. Does this super inspirational monologue. It gave me straight up chills.
I had to remind myself that I'm a lovable, peerless, fearless, unmatchable queen. My melanin flows and my body is filled with melanic gold.
I relate heavily to that part. It's gonna be my next Instagram caption.
I love the wrong man and love beat the hell out of me.
Wow, that was really moving. So what'd you think of the movie? Pretty good, right? Aside from those weird flashback scenes towards the end. This is a pretty good way to end it, right? Think again. There is 16 minutes left in this movie, and I am just as confused as you. Here's what happens next. We go back to Renee's house, and she's packing up her stuff, probably going to stay with the Demon Child's teacher. Speaking of Demon Child, where's bro at? Are you just gonna leave without him? It's never explained. This movie basically forgets that Christopher exists. Then the loud girl randomly busts in and is like,
Renee, Capone called. We need to go get Antonio now.
And then Peaches is like, why would we do that? Renee needs to get away from him. Also, didn't he die? Renee doesn't ask a single follow-up question. She's just like, okay, cool, let's go.
I'll text you the details and the address on your way, okay? Okay.
So Renee and Peaches start driving towards the undisclosed location that the loud girl is apparently texting them. They arrive and Peaches is like, this place looks like a crack house. We should not go in there. But for some reason, Renee is super eager to see Antonio again.
You can stay here if you want to, but me, I'm going up in there. I gotta see what's going on.
Renee, was this not you not even 30 seconds ago?
Memories I got is of a lion, cheating, abusive ass, drug dealer who destroyed everything that's over her.
So they go inside the crack house and Peaches is being the only normal person in this entire movie.
What the hell I let you talk me into? I'm scared of this place. I'm scared too. But I have to find Antonio.
What?
Because he's my husband.
You're leaving him, Renee?
Yes, so? So leave his ass right here.
But Renee apparently just has a death wish, I guess.
Look, I just need to know. I just need to know what he's been up to.
No, what?
Yeah, I'm with Peaches. What do you mean you need to know what he's been up to? Gee, Renee, I don't know. He's at a crack house. If I had to guess what he's been up to, I'd say probably crack. So Peaches and Renee make their way through the crack house maze, past all the junkies and stuff.
Everybody smokes in here. It's the smokehouse.
And they find, what do you know? Antonio laying in the floor of the back room, doing crack.
Coming in my crib.
Is that Antonio?
So at this point, I'm starting to get the memo that this is not a flashback anymore. I don't even know if it ever was a flashback. This man straight up just came back to life, and it is never explained. He's literally dead in one scene and alive in the next. I don't think I've ever seen a movie that has forgotten its own plot before.
Teachers, let's go. I done seen everything I need to see.
What do you mean, let's go? What was even the point of coming here? And then I guess once she leaves, the crack wears off or something because Antonio's like, wait, no, come back. I made a mistake. Babe, no, babe, what? Then we get this random subplot crime scene that has nothing to do with the rest of the story. It's only here to make the movie longer, I'm pretty sure. T-Slick's drug dealer died and the cops are investigating it. There's a shot of the drug dealer laying on the floor for like 3 seconds and you can clearly see her finger moving. It's so funny to me that one, the actress could not stand still for more than 3 seconds, and two, They shot that scene and didn't even bother trying to do another take. But I guess death just doesn't mean anything in this movie because T-Slick just respawned in a crack house and it's never explained. Then the cops start chasing some random kids because they think they had something to do with the crime for some reason. But one of the kids knows karate somehow. I don't know what's going on either, bro. The fight choreography goes absolutely bonkers though. And then we hear that flute theme song again that we heard at the beginning of this movie. And I gotta say, the lyrics perfectly capture how it feels to watch this movie.
So much pain. My heart hurts.
Renee stumbles into T-Slick walking down the street and he's like, "Come back, baby. I know I beat the hell out of you, but I need a second chance." Imagine this just turns into a musical. That would be amazing. But she's not having none of it. So, of course, T-Slick tries to murder her again.
Me and my son is fair without you, okay? Bad, get out of my way.
Bitch, the next thing you
Renee nearly escapes his grasp for like the 5th time, and then she's just immediately like, "Hey, I'm going to church. You want to come?"
Yeah, I'm going to church. If you coming, come on.
This man has not only cheated on you, but attempted to murder you multiple times. Your brother then shot him. You attended his funeral, and then you find him somehow resurrected like a day later in the floor of a crack house. And now you're like, "Hey, let's take a drive." But then they get in the car together and the movie ends. That's how it ends. And then we get one of those end credits that are like, "And Timmy went off to college and discovered the cure for athlete's foot." It goes through what happened to like all of the side characters. I mean, I'm glad we've got an update on like the demonic child and stuff. I'm glad to see that he's doing okay. But you left me with so many unanswered questions. What happened to Renee and Antonio? Did T-Slick eventually kill Renee in the car? Did they even make it to church? Also, how is Antonio still alive? You know, basic questions like that. They do eventually tell you what happened to Renee and Antonio. Renee ended up marrying the substitute teacher and she's doing well now, so good for her. And then T-Slick admitted himself into rehab and joined the church. He is now teaching others about drug and domestic abuse. I love the picture they chose for this. If they're talking about him going to rehab and it's just him looking at the camera with cocaine all over his face, I can confidently say that this was the worst and the best movie that I have ever seen. And the title of this movie is very accurate because I do in fact love this movie, but this movie beat the hell out of me. Now, obviously, a lot of this movie didn't make any sense, but like I said before, I do have a theory. Remember the weird zoom in transition? It only happens twice in the whole movie. The first time is right after Capone tells Renee he's gonna go kill Antonio, and the second time is right after Antonio's funeral. So my best guess is that everything in between those two transitions was just Renee's imagination for what would actually happen if Capone actually slimed out her husband. That's the only explanation I can come up with as to how Antonio somehow came back to life, like he just loaded a previous save file. But if that's what they were going for, they didn't really communicate it that well. Because the little zoom in transition happens super fast. If you blink, you could miss it. And there's absolutely no audio cue. There's no like flashback effect or any sort of music or sound effect that would signify that we're going into some sort of like imagination world. I'm just going to choose to believe that my theory is incorrect because it makes this movie so much more fun to watch if you just think that he came back to life somehow and there's no explanation. Now, before I completely bury this movie, I do want to give it one genuine compliment. I'm not being sarcastic. For a movie this low budget, some of the acting actually surprised me. There were a few scenes where the performances felt weirdly natural. The main one that comes to mind is the hair salon scene. Now, while that whole section is like 10 minutes longer than it needs to be, a lot of the dialogue there actually felt like real banter that you would hear in a hair salon.
I can't even believe that she admitted it out openly in front of everybody that the man was fat.
I'm not saying any of the acting was super great or anything. There just were a few parts where I was surprised by how not awful it was. Don't beat the hell out of me. She yelling, but yelling ain't really helping. She swelling and really helping it running. It got a gun.